Hello, family and friends. It's Sierra, and I'm back. It's been 3 months, and I'm back in Germany, where I started my DTS and doing lecture phase now. And I'm just here to talk a little bit about my outreach.
So, where have you been on outreach?
I went to Ethiopia, and I stayed in the city Addis Ababa for 3 months.
And what kind of ministry did you do?
We did a number of ministries. We volunteered at the Hope Enterprise. It's a feeding center. It feeds 700 people a day. We would go volunteer folding injera, which is a food that Ethiopians eat with everything. And we'd serve soup, as well as I would go to the Kosher Project, which is a project the base in Germany started, which helps get girls out of the dumps and into school and just helps them not work at the dump anymore. We volunteered there with Bible lessons and English lessons and teachings, as well as we lived and worked for the AFCM ministry in Addis Ababa, and it's All for Christ ministry run by Solomon. And he started helping out with this village community. It's called the Jaja Village. And they are mostly an AIDS community, and Solomon basically has Sunday school teachings for them every Saturday, and he provides schooling for the kids and feeding for them every day. So what we helped with making a website for sponsorship for the kids in the village and the families, and we helped with making soap so we could show them how to make it, and they could produce a bit of an income for themselves. And we just helped with around the house painting and whatever we could do there, visiting the kids, the village, helping with counseling. And as well, I made a lot of friends along the way. We would go to Hope a lot and talk to Amela, and she's one of my friends I got to talk to a lot, just about her being strong in her faith, and all of her family is Orthodox Christian. And as well, another ministry we worked at was Women at Risk. It's an organization that helps women who have been prostitutes get off the street, learn a trade, and do something else. So there we would go and teach them Bible lessons as well, and English lessons, and just be there to pray for them. And some of my teammates did a photo shoot for them. So we've been quite busy as long with like prayer walks and just being open to having relationships with people. Uh-oh.
What?
Where did it go? Yeah.
So, do you have an embarrassing story also from outreach?
Yes, I do have an embarrassing story. Quite often, as my friends would know back home, I am very open. I'm feeling, or if I see something exciting, I just shout it out. So one time, we were in a taxi. Pia and I were in a taxi, and the taxis, how they work in Ethiopia, they cram as many people as they can into the taxi, and it barely makes it everywhere it goes. And so we were in the taxi, and there was a bunch of goats, and I was so excited to see the goats. I was like, ah! And I made the sound of a goat, and then everyone in the taxi looked at me and started laughing. And they're like, Ferengi, ha ha ha, which means foreigner in Amharic. And Amharic is the language they speak in Ethiopia, so it's a good story.
It is. What are your two favorite things about outreach?
Okay, my two favorite things. First favorite thing is just how warm the people are in Ethiopia. They're constantly like inviting you to their house all the time and stuffing you with food till you burst. And it doesn't even matter if there's like 11 of you. When we go to the village, their houses were, I don't know, probably as big as most of your guys' bathrooms. And we would go into there, and then they would be like, oh no, eat, eat, eat. And they'd give you like so much coffee. Ethiopians love coffee, by the way. They eat a lot of coffee. They drink a lot of coffee. And you just stay, and they're actually upset if you tell them you have to be somewhere, because like relationships mean the most to them. So, my second favorite thing Let's see. Second favorite thing I think is the relationships, like with Amela that I made, the people, just how God moved, and everywhere we went, and how I met Amela, and like how when we left, there were people that were so touched they were crying, and Amela cried because I meant so much to her. So that was exciting just to see how God moved, and I didn't know what I was doing or if God was moving, but He did.
So Mela's one of the girls you were working with?
Amela is one of the girls at Hope that she goes to help and volunteer. Because Hope provided her with an education, so she goes to volunteer just to thank them. And so we grew pretty close to her and the kids at the village too. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Tell us 2 things that were challenging for you on outreach.
Okay. Number 1 is sleeping like inches away from people. I think just like where we lived, our whole team of 17 people, which is actually a small team, but our whole team, we lived in, I don't know, like 4 rooms together. So we all slept together, ate together, pooped in the same area. I have to cut that part. and sometimes on outreach, when like you're kind of smelly and stinky and you can't really get away and have like personal space, but it was a really good time just to like go to God about things that were bugging me, and not like you have no choice but to go to God. You can't go anywhere else. And the second thing was sometimes the culture was very challenging because there's a white person walking down the street, they're constantly touching you or trying to touch you, constantly asking you for money, and constantly, I don't know, they just shout at you all the time and try to rip you off. So as a culture that, it was a bit hard sometimes walking around.
What was your favorite food and your favorite cultural experience?
Okay, my favorite food in Ethiopia, cultural food, actually I did like injera. I liked it. My favorite was at the Kosher Project or the Kosher House. They had the best injera with the best like potatoes and red sauce. And injera is like, oh, it's gonna die. 20%. Okay, I'll hurry. Injera is like, it's a really round, flat. It's like a flat, round pancake, and they let it ferment for 4 days. So it's like sour and gooey, but it tastes really good with sauce. So that was really good. What was the other question?
Yeah, that's okay. Get to the next one. What was the main lesson you've learned?
Main lessons. Okay. I think some of the lessons that were brought up on like in lecture phase on outreach, they just I had to deal with them, or they were put into practice. So just knowing that I'm like worthy of love and by God's love, that like once you know how much God loves you, then like when you really, really know that, then you just go and you're not afraid to like talk to people and touch people's lives, and God does do that when you know that. And my second one was just learning to see people through God's eyes and seeing the love of Him, and no matter the circumstances, no matter if like someone is fighting next to you or if someone's sleeping next to you and they're rolling around a lot. I just learned like I do love them no matter what. So
Cool. So the last question: would you do it again?
Yes, I would do it again. I loved outreach, and also it was hard at the same time, but I learned so much, and I think I'm just a better person through doing missions and through serving people. It makes me understand more about God, and I would love to go on more missions trips. Yes. The end.